You need to be fuckable to be a woman.
You need to be fucked because clearly that's what they see a woman as, I guess, over there.
Yes. Submissive and fuckable.
For people that don't know, what exactly does the law say in regards to homosexuality?
Punishable by death.
Just in case you didn't already know, in Iran, you can't be gay, but you can be transgender. I mean, the government will literally actually even help you transition. In fact, they perform the second most sex change operations in the world, only second to Thailand. I mean, it all sounds pretty progressive, right? Except that it isn't. Let's hear directly from a trans woman who lives in Iran who experienced this firsthand.
My name is Reyna. I'm 23. I was born and raised in Tehran, Iran.
The most common thing that I was asked when I told people I was filming a video with you was it your choice to transition? How does that all work? Because people in the United States have a very different version of what happens there than what actually happens there.
I identified as gay since freshman high school. Not many people knew about it, but that was what I thought I was. And that was one of the main motives I had for leaving Iran. That's just illegal. If it is observed by 2 adult males or 4 adult females.
4 adult females.
Yeah.
You need twice the amount of women for it to be as bad as 2 men. That's funny. Okay.
And for women, they're just flogged. I think 99 lashes. The first 2 that they're caught. The 3rd time, I think it's death penalty.
I know there's going to be a lot of leftists that are going to champion this, right? Like without actually watching this video. And they're going to say, look at all these people in Iran. They're so non-transphobic. They're allowing these people. In fact, they're helping these people transition.
It is already extremely difficult for trans people with actual gender dysphoria to be able to, get their hands on the certificate and get the surgery and change their documents. I mean, if that was the case, a lot of trans people would have just, claimed to be gay. Their process would be facilitated, but that's not the case.
They're not exactly as trans inclusive as leftists think.
Not really. I mean, there's only one way of being trans here. You shut the fuck up, you transition medically, you get the certificate, you accept a hijab, basically every other social circumstances that come with being a woman in Iran society. Once you're passable and you've done bottom surgery and you've changed your documents, now we grant you the name of being a woman. Don't tell anyone, because we don't have this phenomenon in this society. If you can't get the surgery for any reason, your family doesn't accept you, they disown you and kick you out. And if you don't have money on your own, you're doomed. It's over. You're basically homeless and doing criminal activity or prostitution in order to get by. There are a specific therapists that are designed by the government, that are trusted by the government, that you could go to for this. There was a psychoanalyst and there was a doctor who specialized in glands and hormones. At the end of the 13 sessions, they sit down, and if they have reached a consensus that you have gender dysphoria, you have to take basically every personality test diagnosis that you have. They make sure to highlight any diagnosis that you have. Once they have reached the consensus, they give you a letter. All 3 of them sign it. It says this individual has gender dysphoria, and you take that to the court. If anything is off, also the letter that the court gives you, the judge gives you, it specifically says in one of the questions, is this person homosexual?
Wow.
They make sure of that, but they make sure that it is a gender identity issue and not a sexuality issue. Well, the Iranian Revolution was in 1979, I think. So back then, being trans was the same thing as being gay, punishable by death. There was this trans woman who had connections in, the clergies and the high rank. She got her way up somehow to meet the supreme leader of the time. She talked to him, and he was basically convinced that some people are born with a soul that doesn't match their body. Eastern, basically, literature, soul has a gender. It just makes perfect sense to them that someone is born with a body that doesn't match their soul. Gave a fatwa in 1986, and it became legal to transition, and the government saw this as a phenomenon had to be addressed and solved.
Do you think that if you were living here still, that you would still transition? Do you think that you're just simply gay?
No, I actually started my transition in America.
You're in that way, you're kind of lucky that they're supportive of that.
I wouldn't have come back probably, but I mean, I have been diagnosed with gender dysphoria probably a dozen times. Yeah, it is truly a luxury for me to be able to sit down here and just not feel super dysphoric about how I look.
And it's crazy that we have somebody here like you who, by all the actual meanings of the word oppression, fit that description and are still aware of the privileges that you have. And then we have people that are born in the freest country in the world, for the most part, born here, born in the United States, living a life of luxury, claiming all the oppression points that they can get. And this really puts it into perspective. Hopefully it puts this into perspective for those people. You are resilient and you're going to inspire really hundreds of thousands of people.
I don't really define myself by these hardships. I have been adequately smart regarding how to solve them. That's what I'm proud of. And that's how I define myself.
So the government is involved in this, right? And there's a lot of legal processes that come before this whole thing takes place. Can you explain that to people?
Treated by the government as, you know, a social issue that needs to be solved. They don't want, you know, the dichotomy, the gender dichotomy in the society to be broken. They hold on to the categorical structures as much as they could. It's a conservative society. I think they see it as their responsibility to fund some of it. This is something that people don't really see. Those surgeries that are funded, butchering, they have nothing to do with sex reassignment surgery. I know someone, she got her bottom surgery. It was penile inversion, and they somehow tore apart her rectum. Surgeries that they perform are performed by plastic surgeons who know nothing about how it's done. It's just trial and error. And if you go to them and you tell them that your methods suck, they would literally tell you that it is what it is. Get over it.
Do you think instead of it being for you, it's more like, no, this is for the society, the greater good? Like, we're going to fix you. We're going to fix you for us, not for you. So we don't care what you think. We don't care what you think about it. We don't care what you look like. We just want to fix it so we look like a better society type of thing. That's what it comes down to.
Exactly. Well, social status, we're like at the bottom of everything. It's not like they give a fuck about it.
What exactly do you do to protect yourself? And how is dating work? Because that's a high risk situation for a lot of trans people, no matter what country you're in, right?
I pass to a good extent. Fortunately, I have the luxury of that. Do my best to blend in, wearing the hijab, and I just don't come out, which is also another luxury. I don't come out when I don't want to. Regarding dating, well, this might surprise you. I have much better experience dating here than I had in America. Well, maybe because like the city I was in America was like pretty conservative, and Tehran is like the most liberal place in Iran. I don't really get that many guys who are like rude about it.
It's interesting.
It's like the first time they hear about it, so they're like curious, and I just explain it to them, and they're like, "Why? Okay."
I would have never thought that. I would have. That's eye-opening to me.
There's a huge difference between, you know, masculinity here and masculinity in America. You know, American men are like, well, anything away from the prototype of a woman is gay, kind of. Men here, it's like, as long as they're dominant.
I was gonna say it's more cultural and more energy based than physical.
As long as they're dominant,
see a woman as, you know, subservient and passive and wow.
You know, I see where they come from. They want to protect the society so that, you know, things wouldn't fall apart. And I see that in the West. I lived it. And with the globalism that is happening with internet, it is just being exported everywhere. You know, my decision regarding having this interview was when I saw the Leah Thomas story getting viral in Iran. It was a joke. If men can't, you know, get anywhere in their lives, maybe you should transition. I really don't want my people to be introduced to this for the first time with this.
Got a lot of issues going on over here, completely different than what's going on over there.
The trans narrative globally basically is going towards it's not going to help anybody. I personally, as a trans person who has lived in, you know, probably one of the most liberal and the most conservative contexts of this matter, as a trans woman, I don't agree with 99% of it. I personally think if I was going to create a narrative that people would have hated trans people, this one would have been perfect for it.
You're right. You are right. Thank you again. We're going to end the video there because honestly, that is the perfect way to end it. Those of you who are watching this, who want to follow her journey, You're taking what you're learning and automatically repurposing it and helping others and teaching others. For those of you who are watching that want to follow her on her Instagram, I'll have it linked below, and I'll see you guys soon.